Hey guys, how's it going? Been having trouble with recording this tonight, but wanted to kind of get up a quick video. I know I haven't put up that much 49er content lately, but I'm gonna all splurge it out right in terms of this video. So, the San Francisco 49ers, with what they did in the off season, it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was very under the radar. John Lynch is going to be rewarded for his hard work. I'm a big fan of Dee Ford. I think that Dee Ford could play linebacker or he could play off the edge. So you could be putting Bosa and Dee Ford together on the line. You now have DeForest Buckner in the middle of the field. I believe Armstead might be in the middle of the field as well. It's looking like Earl Mitchell's going to be gone now in terms of starting. This guy's going to be a linebacker, Solomon Thomas, Bosa, DeForest Buckner, Arik Armstead, and now your cornerback room is very, very deep. You have Richard Sherman, you have Witherspoon, and then you signed a couple of talented guys that could play nickel for you in Jimmy Ward, and you also signed the cornerback from the Chargers who started actually for them, Jason Varrett, to a one-year deal, and now Verrett's only 5'9", but again, you are signing Varrett and you are signing both of these guys. So this defense is really, really deep. Now, I know that you have Colbert, and I know you have Tart. I think Tart's a better coverage guy than Colbert. But in this draft, I think the 49ers are going to address possibly getting a number one receiver, possibly a big body kid like a Hakeem Butler, a N'Keal Harry, maybe at the top of the second round. That's why that 2020 second round pick was given to the Chiefs. The great thing about Jimmy Garoppolo is somehow he's still getting paid a lot of money, and somehow the 49ers have been able to afford all of this. So usually it's very rare that you see a quarterback get paid and the 49ers be able to attain young talent, because the 49ers are paying Quan Alexander they're paying him about, what are they paying him, 13.5, which actually doesn't look that bad when CJ Mosley beat him out by about $4 million. But then they're now going to be paying Dee Ford about $18 million. But they're going for it, and they're giving Salah every reason to be successful. This team right now is getting coached up really well. The wide receivers I'm not too worried about. A lot of people are worried about getting wide receivers, but you still have Pettis. You still have guys like Kendrick Bourne. And you still have guys like Goodwin that are still on your team. George Kittle's still on this team. Dante Pettis is really, really good. You're going to add a receiver like an Isabella. You're going to add more guys. As long as Jimmy likes throwing the guys in the slot, you're going to be fine. Now, what an under-the-radar signing Tevin Coleman was. I mean, this guy is a three-down back. He's very powerful. He had Devontae Freeman, who is like his own version of an Alvin Kamara. Like, Freeman, when he was healthy, was maybe a top 7 back in the NFL. And Coleman, to me, reminds me actually of what Mark Ingram brought to the table. I know Ingram is a more powerful name because of, the Heisman Trophy, because he's played on New Orleans the last couple of years. Tevin Coleman's one of the most underrated backs that has come out in the NFL in a while. He's very undervalued. He's three-down back. He's very powerful. Last year you had McKinnon, Breda, and it's not good enough having McKinnon and Breda. They're too small. You need that big running back. Now you get Tevin Coleman. You signed him. He gets to be reunited with Kyle Shanahan once again. This 49ers team, now that Todd Gurley's health is in question, now that John Sullivan, Whitworth is older, but Roger Saffold is also gone from the LA Rams. I know Dante Fowler, I believe, is coming back. And I also know that the LA Rams, they let Joyner is now going to be on the Raiders, but they did bring in Eric Weddle, and Les Snead is doing whatever he can with Jared Goff. If I were the LA Rams, the minute they pay Jared Goff, all this talent is going to slide out the door. But for the 49ers, they are setting themselves up for a 12-4 season next year. They're setting themselves up to be having a first-round bye in a home playoff game. Probably divisional champions of the NFC West, probably beating the Rams, and probably hosting a playoff game and getting a bye, so automatically getting to the second round of the playoffs. I believe the 49ers are going to be in the Final 8 when it's all said and done. And I actually believe the 49ers are actually going to be in the Final 4. I believe when you look at the Final 4 in the NFC and the AFC, I think that the Chiefs, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Patriots are the front runners in the AFC. I'm not including the Cleveland Browns. The Browns haven't won anything yet. And Pittsburgh is going to get refocused. They're going to reamp their roster. So I like the Steelers in the AFC. In the NFC, you have the Dallas Cowboys that were right there last year that now bring in Jason Witten. They retain their defense. They retain Chris Richard. Dak Prescott still not making the big money yet. This is their time. This is Dallas's year to hit it big and to win the NFC's championship and to get deep into the playoffs. I mean, you look at the Chicago Bears as well. Now, will the Bears defense be as good without Vic Fangio and Chuck Pagano there? But they still have a shit ton of talent out in Chicago. But the 49ers now, I just illustrated my point that Tevin Coleman is going to be fantastic. You're probably going to have Brady. You're going to release Jerick McKinnon. I mean, you now have George Kittle, going to be a really good tight end. I don't think he's going to be as good as last year. You could possibly get another tight end in the draft. You could select more slot receivers like Debo, like Andy Isabella. You could look for some big jump ball guys. I know Hakeem Butler and N'Keal Harry are jump ball guys. You could probably find jump ball guys maybe later. I think the kid out of Ohio State, McLaurin, is actually a really good guy to throw the ball deep to. He has good speed and size. He's like 6'2". Look for the 49ers to target that. You have Dr. Tomlinson inside, and you have McClinchy and Staley. So I like those three linemen. Then you have Person and Garnett and Weston Richburg. Weston Richburg, of course, is always kind of a question mark out of Colorado State. I always thought he would be tremendous. He's more of a finesse offensive lineman, more of an undersized center that can get out and run around for you. He was kind of underwhelming with the Giants. The Giants were terrible at really coaching him. I know he had an up-and-down season, and I know he had holding issues last year. But now you have Dee Ford. You're going to bring in Nick Bosa. You don't have to take on the Beckham contract, which I think is absolutely brilliant. You have Goodwin. You have Pettis. You have a lot of speed on that team. Also, Kendrick Bourne can also fly. So you're going to get some jump ball guys that are going to help in the red zone for Jimmy G. Another option that I'd want the 49ers to address is if Jimmy G gets hurt again, I want there to be a guy that can come in with playoff experience. So one or two guys should be the option at backup quarterback. I know that a lot of the fans like Nick Mullins. The reason why I think you keep C.J. Beathard over Nick Mullins is because Beathard is just a stronger arm than Nick Mullins. But Beathard is best friends with George Kittle. I think that relationship is very important to take into account on the football team. C.J. Beathard's also really tight with Kyle Shanahan. He was one of his first draft picks. Now, Nick Mullins is a likable kid, also a kid that Kyle's kind of taken under his wing. But there's two guys out there that are good backup quarterbacks that you're going to need because I don't want this to be a wasted season. The 49ers now with this defense, with the cornerback depth on this team, with Dee Ford now being really under the radar, this pass rush is going to be unbelievable. I mean, you now have Fred Warner, Quan Alexander, and Dee Ford. You have a top 5 linebacking core in the NFL. You also have Cassius Marsh on the outside with Nick Bosa. You should lead the league in sacks with DeForest Buckner, with Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa, and Cassius Marsh. You should have an amazing defense with Arik Armstead. Earl Mitchell will be a backup this year. This team is going to be freaking loaded. It's going to be stacked. The 49ers, I said last year if Jimmy was healthy, this team was going to be a Super Bowl winning championship team. This team is literally looking like a 12-win NFC West champion. It's looking great. I don't want the hype. I don't like the hype. I think the hype caused some unrealistic expectations last year. The 49ers now have amped their roster up big time. The defense is going to be really good. Salah, I have so much confidence. The 49ers, to me, had the best offseason. The Tevin Coleman, the Dee Ford trade, Quan Alexander now being included, and that contract doesn't even look so bad. But for the quarterback situation, I think Blake Bortles is a very reasonable situation. Blake Bortles is a guy who's won 2 playoff games in his career. I know he has a loopy, ugly motion, but this guy's a backup quarterback. He'll be a friend to Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's a guy that will be valuable in the quarterback room. Another guy that is a Kyle Shanahan disciple is Robert Griffin III. And Robert Griffin, I don't know if the Baltimore Ravens are going to let him go because Lamar Jackson is a shaky quarterback. He's one of the worst throwers in this whole league. But listen, Kyle Shanahan did amazing things with Robert, and I think that Griffin is a guy that has been through the ringer of the NFL. He's been out of the NFL for a while, and I think that this guy's really matured. I think he's super mature right now. I think he was mature coming out of college, but, you know, being the second pick, fighting with Kirk Cousins, Dan Snyder, and Jay Gruden, and Kyle Shanahan's dad a little bit, might make it a little bit awkward considering, you know, the playoff game with Kyle Shanahan's dad, Mike Shanahan. But Robert would be a good guy. Griffin would be a really good backup quarterback, a lot of talent, still has great arm talent, and he will still be really serviceable. I think Blake Bortles, too, if you get him out on the West Coast, get him with Tom House, and just fix up the throwing motion, make it less loopy. I think that Blake Bortles is a guy that can be very successful in this system. Blake Bortles knows how to take care of the football, and he knows how to win big-time playoff games. He went into Heinz Field and orchestrated some really good playoff football. He also played New England really tough. He actually played really well in that playoff game, made big throws. The guy just knows how to win games, and he was good with that defense until it fell apart. He's a good backup quarterback in this NFL. So that's where I'm looking. I mean, Case Keenum would have been a very good backup quarterback, but Davis Webb, also from the Jets, is a guy that I absolutely love. Luis Perez in the Alliance is a really good quarterback as well. So the 49ers are just loading up, and their offseason has been spectacular. I love what John Lynch does. I mean, last year, Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt. Somehow, Jimmy's not in his rookie deal, and somehow the 49ers are still putting together, like, unbelievable talent. John Lynch is really aggressive. Kyle's really aggressive. And I'm loving this entire roster. To be quite frank with you guys, and I know that I sound like a broken record praising the San Francisco 49ers, but this is the year. I think the 49ers in this third year are finally going to make noise, meaning that they're going to win 12 games. They're going to get a bye. That would be incredible. They better win at least one playoff game and get to the Final Four, get to the NFC Championship game, probably play Dallas or Chicago, and then see if you could beat one of those defenses to go to the Super Bowl. Probably play a New England, a Kansas City, or a Pittsburgh Steeler, maybe a Colts. I think the Browns are on the outside looking in right now, and that's probably what's going to happen for the season. But 49ers are flying under the radar perfectly, and I'm really excited. I think it should be a 5-1 divisional sweep. Pretty much, you might lose one to LA, but the Seahawks and the Cardinals better be sweeps. And then I don't know who else the 49ers are going to be facing, but they are going to be playing some last place teams, so the schedule is going to be coming out soon. Overall, I'm pumped. I'm really excited to see Jimmy and this team play. I want it to be really quiet, and I like how we're flying really low under the radar right now, that being the San Francisco 49ers.